How confident are you that you are watching this video right now? How confident are you that in front of you there is some device, and on the screen of that device this video is playing? Pretty certain, I'd imagine. After all, how could you doubt what is happening directly in front of you? The opening question to this video sounds like a ludicrous one. Skepticism is healthy, sure. When it comes to challenging what we know, asking questions about long-held truths is a good practice to adopt. After all, nothing should be sacrosanct, no piece of information, no belief should be considered too valuable to question. But questioning what is happening right in front of you doesn't seem to be skepticism of the healthy kind. Society would not be able to function if everybody was constantly skeptical of their direct sensory experiences. In philosophy, skeptical arguments belong to epistemology. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy which examines questions about the nature of knowledge and how we come to acquire it. The main question it deals with is, what does it take for us to know something? Descartes takes skepticism to its extreme. Questions of the kind I opened the video with are questions of radical skepticism taken to its absolute limit. René Descartes was a 17th century French mathematician and philosopher. He is the one who coined one of the most, if not the most, famous aphorism, "I think, therefore I am," also known as the cogito. The meaning of this phrase is often less familiar to people than the phrase itself, so in this video we will explore some of the philosophy of Descartes to uncover what he meant and what he was trying to do when he arrived upon the phrase. In order to understand the cogito, it is important to understand the context in which Descartes was writing. For 2 millennia, everybody believed in and held certain the Aristotelian panorama of the universe. Its collapse revealed how profoundly and confidently wrong human beings can be about the most basic features of reality. So Descartes wanted to know, what, if anything, can we know for certain? And so the intentions for his first and second meditations were to establish an indubitable foundation by which all further knowledge can be built upon. To avoid doubts of any kind, like again, that you're watching this video right now, Descartes starts off his first meditation by taking everything that it's possible to minutely doubt and treat it as if it were false. If it is possible to conceive of a belief being false, he treats it as if it is false, so that whatever is left over will only be that which we can know with certainty. This is known as the method of doubt. Using this method, Descartes wants to find a rock-solid, indubitable foundation, one that is impossible to doubt and which can serve as a foundation for all further knowledge. Descartes begins using this method to test his beliefs. An obvious question might come up at this point. How does one sort through his edifice of beliefs? This would be an arduous job to say the least. Descartes has a solution. And to do this, I will not need to run through them all individually, which would be an endless task. Once the foundations of a building are undermined, anything built on them collapses of its own accord. So, I will go straight for the basic principles on which all my former beliefs rested. So Descartes goes to the source of his beliefs, his senses. Whatever I have, up till now accepted as most true, I have acquired either from the senses or through the senses. But from time to time I have found that the senses deceive, and it is prudent never to trust completely those who have deceived us even once. So Descartes doubts his senses. It sounds absurd, but think about it. Sometimes your senses get things wrong. This fact is undeniable. Just think about optical illusions, or the amount of times you thought you saw something vividly with your own eyes, but upon closer inspection you realize you were mistaken. But this is too quick. Just because my senses sometimes get things wrong, this does not make them unreliable. Some things my senses tell me are more reliable than other things. For example, I am sitting here, writing this script, typing using my fingers and so on. Surely this is impossible to doubt. How could it be denied that my hands and my whole body are mine? But of course, Descartes does find good reason to doubt not only his senses, but the external world as a whole. He says, "How often asleep at night am I convinced of just such familiar events, that I am here in my dressing gown, sitting by the fire, when in fact I am lying undressed in bed." The idea expressed here by Descartes is that we have dreams at night, and these dreams on many occasions feel just as real as waking life. It is possible for me to dream that I am writing this script when in fact I am lying in bed basking in a dream during my REM sleep. So I and you could be dreaming, with no way of telling that we are. The mere possibility that we could be dreaming means that the external world can be doubted. And remember, for our purposes, any amount of doubt is enough to discard a belief. Our goal is to find what we can know without doubt. To make Descartes' doubt even clearer here, imagine a person wearing a headset. The headset has functions that allow the wearer to be transmitted pictures, sounds, and related information to the headset's interior. Also suppose that it's impossible for the wearer to remove this headset to check whether its interior faithfully represents the exterior world. The wearer's beliefs about the exterior world rests on inferences he draws from the information available inside of it. This could be the case with our perception that relies on our senses, the objects we perceive by means of recognizing their properties, their colors, textures, shape, and the rest cannot be described except for them being objects of our perception. The point is, what if our perception is analogous to the headset, and our senses analogous to the headset's functions? At this point, you might think that there is nothing more to doubt. But even in dreams we can know things. For example, arithmetic truths, like 2 plus 3 is 5. These cannot possibly be doubted. Or geometrical truths. Dream or not, everything is composed of shapes, and a square just is an equilateral with 4 sides. Surely, these can't be doubted. But here's what Descartes says next. And yet, firmly rooted in my mind is the long-standing opinion that there is an omnipotent God who made me the kind of creature that I am. How do I know that he has not brought it about, that there is no earth, no sky, no extended thing, no shape, no size, no place, while at the same time ensuring that all these things appear to me to exist just as they do now? Descartes thinks it's possible for a creature to deceive him. A creature powerful enough, like God, could deceive him even about basic arithmetic and geometric truths. But God? No, God would not do that. Deception would go against the good nature of God. But Descartes thinks it's at least coherent to imagine a creature as powerful as God, yet not as good as him, that could deceive him. This is where Descartes employs his evil demon hypothesis, and where doubt is taken to its absolute limit. I will suppose, therefore, that not God, who is supremely good and the source of truth, but rather some malicious demon of the utmost power and cunning has employed all his energies in order to deceive me. I shall think that the sky, the air, the earth, colours, shapes, sounds, and all external things are merely the delusions of dreams which he has devised to ensnare my judgment. I shall consider myself as not having hands or eyes, or flesh or blood, or senses, but as falsely believing that I have all these things. If Descartes is under the deception of some omnipotent malicious demon, then he could be fooled even about basic arithmetic and geometrical truths. Every time he conceives of, say, 2 plus 2 equals 4, a malicious demon could make it so that he is mistaken. Importantly, Descartes does not actually think there is such a creature. He is only operating under the assumption that there is, again, in order to identify something he can be certain in. But I have convinced myself that there is absolutely nothing in the world. No sky, no earth, no minds, no bodies. Does it now follow that I too do not exist? No. If I convinced myself of something, then I certainly existed. But there is a deceiver of supreme power and cunning who is deliberately and constantly deceiving me. In that case, I too undoubtedly exist if he is deceiving me. And let him deceive me as much as he can, he will never bring it about that I am nothing so long as I think that I am something. So after considering everything very thoroughly, I must finally conclude that this proposition, I am, I exist, is necessarily true whenever it is put forward by me or conceived in my mind. Here Descartes realizes something. To doubt he exists, he must be thinking. Doubting is a kind of thinking, so by doubting that he is thinking, Descartes automatically proves that he is thinking. And to be deceived, he must exist in some form to be deceived. If I denied I existed, who is doing the denying? An evil demon can convince me of all types of falsities, but there has to be a me to be convinced of this. So even if you, the viewer, do not exist as a Homo sapien with hands and feet, so long as you are doing some kind of thinking, you can be certain that you exist in some form. That is to say, I think, therefore I am. So we have arrived at the one thing that Descartes can know for certain, that he exists, at least again, in some form. Maybe it's not how he regularly perceives himself. He does not think of himself as his memories, or his actions, or his thoughts. He perceives himself merely as a thinking thing. Now of course, there is a lot to be said about this and whether Descartes is correct, but this should at least explain what Descartes meant when he wrote the Cogito. Simply as it may seem, Descartes now thinks he has established one thing that's undeniable, something immune to doubt, and hopefully something we can begin to build the rest of our worldview upon. As for the success of this project, we will leave that to another video. Thank you for watching, and if you're curious as to whether Descartes' project to build knowledge off of his newfound foundation was a success, then perhaps that will be the topic of the next video. If you want to know my opinion on it though, then you can find it on my substack, link in bio.